Hello everyone, how are you guys? Am I audible? Okay, great. So today I will be answering some of the questions that people always ask me about starting career in data science. So the most frequently asked questions. I'm looking at the live chat, so you can go ahead and ask anything that you want. And in the meantime, I can tell you about my book that I always do. So the book is available in India now. So you can go and buy from this link, which I will share in chat. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask me in the chat. So let's go back a little. So I think it seems like there have been some questions even before I started. So I should also take a little bit look there. Um, so one of the questions I need to reformulate it is like, okay, I will wait for some time for more questions. Okay, let's take the easy one first. Best resource to learn PyTorch is PyTorch documentation. Um, so Amit is asking, he's a fresher, so he needs some suggestions. So can you be a little bit more specific, Amit? Which area is more focused as of now, NLP or image? Both are quite focused in the industry. So it depends on what you want to do and what kind of job you get. If you want to go for NLP, then try to solve more of NLP problems. If you want to go for computer vision, then image and video problems. So yeah, both are in very high demand. How to handle highly correlated categorical variables using neural networks? Okay, so you can use something like entity embedding, but in this one I'm not trying to answer questions like this. It's more of question and answering on data science career related stuff. So is it appropriate to mention projects done on online courses and YouTube with the help of instructor on resume? So it depends on what you have done. For example, like I do a lot of projects on my YouTube channel, and then if you do the same and put it in your resume or your GitHub account, then the code is going to be the same. So you should always try to contribute a little bit more to the project itself. So if you have done some contribution which makes what you have done is a bit different from the original projects, like in online courses or on YouTube channels, then definitely you should put it on your resume. Why not? Okay, don't spam, guys. Otherwise, I will miss a lot of questions. No, I'm not using Slido in this one. So more like live question and answering. Maybe I should write down the questions somewhere. So if you have done some kind of machine learning course in machine learning and AI for 1 year and you didn't get the job, then probably you should start looking on the different kinds of projects that you have done. So if you can explain a little bit about what kind of projects you have done, I can probably try to help there. How to write machine learning code from scratch? So I nowadays I don't write much from scratch. I used to when I began. So yeah, it's a habit. So you have to go through some research papers. So read some research papers and try to implement the research papers. And so you have to develop this kind of habit. And whatever you are trying to do, try to Google it. Try to look on Stack Overflow if you face some kind of problems. So that helps quite a lot. And in the end, that's all because of practice. So how can I be a Cackle Grandmaster? So step one would be to make an account on Cackle and start participating, and then in some time you will be a Cackle Grandmaster if you never give up. How do I start with a computer vision project? I mean, it's the same. So you can start with any kind of project. Starting with any kind of project, it's going to be difficult in the very beginning. So you have to first see like what kind of simple techniques that you can use to solve this problem, and then try to research a bit more on other complicated things. Like try to read research papers later on and try to implement them. So, what is the most recent machine learning problem? I'm mostly working on natural language processing and currently working on some image stuff too. So, preparing interview for data scientists is quite a kind of question which varies from country to country and role to role. So, if you have like a fresher job, then if you're applying for fresher kind of roles, and I think I mean from your name I guess that you're in India right now. So even for those kind of roles you have to study data structures and some algorithms, and you have to answer whatever the normal interview questions that are asked for all kinds of software development or software engineering roles. And data science is going to be a small part of it if you're a fresher. But if you apply for startup companies, maybe they will ask you more of machine learning and data science related questions. So mathematical or statistical concepts, you don't need a lot of stats in the very beginning. So if you want to start with something, so I would just pick up the paper and learn about statistical concepts as I go. And mathematics, you need basic algebra, calculus, all these kind of things. How can be one good? How can one be good at text data? So I mean, text data, it's it's also numbers. So if you, I mean, you have to try out different techniques. I mean, that will only come with practice, and it also depends on the data. So maybe your data is not good, so that's why your result is not good. Math is certainly very important for machine learning. Um, so you have to. So the question is math important for machine learning? Is it very important to go in depth, or the surface level is enough? So it is indeed quite important for machine learning. So yeah, you should do some maths, and then start with your um, deep learning algorithms. So deep learning or machine learning algorithms. So let me try to get the chat inside the video and see if that works, because otherwise you don't have context of the questions, right? I think it should work. Let me see. Okay, so let's see. Maybe you can see the chat now. This is much better. Okay, what else do we have? What are the online courses from platform like Coursera? So I like all the courses from Andrew Ang. So go and do some course from him, and then come back and do some kind of problem solving on machine learning competition websites like Kaggle or something like that. So where you can apply these kind of things. Um, no GPT-3 in this video. How to approach? I don't know. Hyperparameter tuning helps in Cackle, but okay. Any data science question, guys? Starting career in data science or these kind of things or something related. My choice is natural language processing, not computer vision. Resources to learn computer vision. There is a very good course, CS231N, and then you also have the book from Ian Goodfellow. It's called Deep Learning. So read that one. Can you write a book regarding your participation in Kaggle? What should I write about? So I have tried to discuss some of the techniques that I used in my current book. So that's what we have, and I can talk about some of the Kaggle competitions if you can send me which competitions you want to know about. How to get a job in machine learning AI deep learning? I mean, it totally depends on your portfolio. So try to make your portfolio outstanding. Try to have a good kind of resume, and things will become easy for you. So the main things that you must do is first learn machine learning and deep learning, and try to create applications from it. So different kinds of applications, not just what you see on LinkedIn or Twitter several hundred times. So different kinds of projects. Try to do different kinds of projects. Try to participate in Kaggle competitions, and this will build up your portfolio and your resume, and try to write about these things. So like in LinkedIn articles or some blogs that you have. So try to write articles about it, and then see if people are interested in your articles. Hyperparameter tuning does help. Okay, I think I missed a lot of questions. It scrolled on its own. Almost done with my book. Oh, thank you very much, Sham. Print edition is already available in Germany. What skills the interviewer expects from fresher? The interviewer would expect you to know everything. It's not possible. So you have to know a little bit of data structure, some algorithms. You have to know basics of one programming language if it's a role in data science. Then you probably need to know Python. How to practice organization. So you don't have any kind of like fixed practice for getting into product based organization. Mostly if you are a fresher, they will look at your resume, what different projects you have done. They will interview you, and that's the only criteria. If you're not a fresher, then they will look at if you have worked in a product based organization before, and if you have a different team and you have not worked on the product directly and you're in a different team, then I would try to work more towards the product and try to change my team so that I'm more involved in the product development part. How important is it to learn a platform like GCP, AWS, Azure? It's nowadays it's quite important, or let's say it's preferred. So if there are two candidates, if like the company is working on these cloud solutions and there are two candidates which are equal and one of them knows about GCP, AWS, or Azure, then it's probably much easier to hire and train them, right? So I would just pick one, GCP or AWS or Azure. Just pick one and make yourself familiar with everything there. And it might be possible that your company is the company that you're going to interview for is doing something different than what you have learned, but it's easier to grasp once you know something about how these platforms work. Um, I mean, the first thing that you have to do to get a job in the field of data science, if you're in final year of undergraduate, is to start doing something about it. So I've said this many times. It's all about building your portfolio, and letting people know that you are someone who knows stuff. How to practice? Okay, I don't have any reviews because I've not taken the courses there. Um, so TensorFlow or PyTorch, it's something that you have to think on your own, and it's totally your decision what you choose. Both are very good frameworks, so you can. What I would do is I will choose one and try to learn that in depth and just know about the other one. So whenever so if I know PyTorch and if I get TensorFlow code, I'm able to do something about it. It's not like I'm blank, right? So that's what I would do. Okay, let's see more questions. Are machine learning skills other than deep learning skills needed for landing a job for a deep learning engineer role? I mean, how can you go to deep learning without knowing anything about machine learning? So I would say, like, if you have done that, then there is something wrong. I would rather start with much basic machine learning stuff first and then read about deep learning stuff. Um, and yeah, I mean, you need some machine learning stuff even if you're going for a deep learning engineer. Um, I won't recommend a book before reading my book, but I would recommend Andrew Wang's course from Coursera. Pretty good. How do I choose my teammates on Kaggle? Actually, I just beg them to take me in their team. No, I mean, I just look at what different people are sharing in the discussions and then try to see, okay, if this person is doing something different than me, then we can probably combine. So that's how I usually team up, but that doesn't apply all the time. Um, So what should be a good balance between office work and self projects? So for self projects, I would say, like, try to invest time before going to work and after coming back. If you can invest like a couple of hours, 2 to 3 hours there, it would be very good. If your work is more on the NLP side, then I would try to do something else in my free time, like computer vision stuff. So then you learn both, and that's quite useful. um I'm having a work experience of 2 years in the field of BI. I want to switch to data science. I've started learning. Okay. Practical implementation of concept is it's a little bit necessary in the beginning. So you have to go through some papers and try to implement them. So yeah, try to do that in the very beginning. And other than that, if when you're reading about deep learning stuff, then there's a lot of new things happening all the time in natural language processing or computer vision. So try to keep yourself updated on what's happening. um, No, there is no coupon code for the book. It's very cheap, anyways. Okay. How to combine tabular data with images? I mean, you can ask me these kind of questions in some other platform. So, oh man, people have been spamming a lot. Yeah, it's both, Tim. So I don't write from scratch anymore, and it's because of both reasons. Because there are many different libraries available, and I also try to reuse my own code quite a lot. So That's one of the things and reasons why I don't write much, from scratch. Is a data scientist similar as same as machine learning engineer? No, it's not. So data scientist is not same as machine learning engineer, and there can be different definitions. But for me, the definition is like machine learning engineer will have more focus on not on the implementation of algorithm or not changing the algorithm, but that everything works fine when it goes to production. And data scientists will have more focus on the algorithm side. So different industries have different kind of definition for these two roles. I mean, both the roles, like data scientist, both the names data scientist and machine learning engineer have been abused a lot in the industry. For a beginner, which criteria, discussion, or notebook is better to focus on first? Okay, I think you're asking me about uh, Kaggle. So if you're a beginner, I would rather focus on competitions, not on discussions or notebooks. They will come on their own. Um, well, it depends on what kind of company you are applying to. Mostly, people, mostly the financial firms. If you're going there, they will ask you for some kind of experience in financial domain. Otherwise, you can apply for a kind of a fresher role. Okay. I don't know why do they do that, but probably something is missing somewhere. Something must be different, but I don't think it's because of this is the reason for them to reject your application. Um, Sudeep, can you type again? Uh, okay, thanks. EDA is very useful. So that's like one of the first steps that you would do when you're working on a data science or machine learning project. So it's very useful and you must be good at it. So you should try to find some meaningful stuff from the data, and that's your exploratory data analysis. So you have to do that, and you should be good at it. Okay, and I'm not sure about the TF Community Spotlight program, but if you think like this is something that you should write on your resume, then you must write on your resume. So it's your preference, right? But I can take a look. It depends on how many projects get featured by them from time to time. So if you think like your project is like one of the projects that has been featured, and there are not many similar projects, or they feature only like 5-10 projects in 1 year, then definitely you should put it on your resume. How important classical models are to deep learning, since most so classical models are very important, and it's not like in the industry everyone is using deep learning, because those models are also they are not very fast, and sometimes you require a fraction of a millisecond kind of response time. So in those times we are using statistical models or classical models, like even like something simple like linear regression or logistic regression is being used in industry quite a lot. So deep learning is not everything. If you're looking at the industry, deep learning is not everything, and it's not like deep learning is being used everywhere. How to get better accuracy in Titanic datasets like one point? I don't know. I won't even put the Titanic dataset on a resume. So don't care about Titanic. I've already answered this question. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, you have to be a bit practical, so that's what helps in long run. So theory you can mug up the theory all of the theory, but you have to do some kind of practical applications. Uh, so Mayank, I would suggest you. I think you already have good command of mathematics. So I would suggest you to. So one of the reasons people face issues understanding machine learning and data science is because they jump very quickly. So to advanced concepts when they have not even done the basics. So I would suggest like you start from the very basics, start from simple models like classical models, go to linear regression, logistic regression, these kind of things. And when you're done with these, try to build applications and learn Python alongside if you are not familiar with Python. So yeah, then I think it's going to be easy for you, and don't rush, because yeah, if you're rushing then it's very difficult. I mean, there are several NLP libraries which I can recommend. So there is NLTK, one of my favorite libraries, and then if you're working with transformer based models, then there is Hugging Face, and I think that's it. I won't use any other kind of NLP library. I have not even used any other NLP library. AutoML is doing fine. I don't know where it goes in a few years. We will see. Should we start with machine learning or deep learning? I mean, you have to start with machine learning if you think like I mean, for deep learning comes later. It comes after machine learning, so you have to learn some machine learning stuff before starting with deep learning. There's a book called Deep Learning. You can Google it. It's also available for free. So try that. I'm not sure of any good Python resource, but I'm planning something very soon. Let's see. Um, is it worth to learn machine learning without deep learning? In these times, I would suggest not to do that. So you must learn the basic concepts of machine learning, and then you should have some knowledge of deep learning too. Otherwise, it's going to be a bit difficult these days. Um, Internships, like a lot of time, internships also come with a lot of recommendations. So try to look for companies which have open internship positions, and try to look for people who are working in those companies on LinkedIn and contact them directly. Or even if they don't have internship positions, like just send an email, try to contact them directly and see what happens. Um, So I can tell you what are not considered as good machine learning projects for a fresher. So it's Titanic, Iris, so these kind of things. So and then you can try to do the same thing in a little bit more complicated manner. So if you use most of the open source data sets which have been there in the last 10 years, I don't think it's very it's considered very good. Um, what should I do in my pre-final year to get a career into data science? So I was from electronics engineering. So what I did was to at that time I didn't even know what data science is, but what would I have done? Um, so I would have studied a lot of Python, so and done some kind of courses from some kind of free courses from Andrew Ang, and start with Kaggle as soon as possible. So start with some kind of there are many different kinds of platforms for machine learning competitions. So there is Kaggle, then there is driven data, there is also crowd analytics. So go to different websites and see what's happening. And these kind of problems, when you do and you land up like a very good rank, you can also try to put it on your resume, which will be very useful for you. And you have just entered fifth semester, so you have a lot of time. Um, if you're like pure beginner, you should start with simple problems like the Titanic problem. So just to see what's going on and what the fuss is all about. And as soon as you're done with it, don't try to improve your score more than 85, 90 AUC. So it doesn't matter. And then just leave that and try to start with some kind of problem in which you see that there is a real prize money. Ooh, machine learning and deep learning combined is data science for me. I mean, depends on the definition. So a data scientist can be someone who knows machine learning. He or she can also be someone who knows machine learning or deep learning or both. Uh, Data science in oil and gas field, yeah, definitely. So I live in a country which is known for oil. So they are using data science quite heavily in the companies there. I don't know. I don't have any review for your thing. What you're asking? Oh, wow, I have a lot of questions. Um, I don't know if I'll be able to go through all of them. C++ required for data science or Python is fine. I think Python is fine. If you know C++, you have some kind of advantage. Like I try to like make my functions a little bit faster sometimes. So for those you can implement in C++ and you can impress people. And also it's good for your project. Okay. Okay, so what else? Are online courses not good? No, online courses is quite good. I mean, just don't go for certifications. Nobody cares about certifications. Yeah, you definitely can survive as a data scientist without knowing Hadoop, Kafka, and Spark. So yeah, I've survived many years. Um, so these are the things that I learned when I was working in industry. So if I have to work on Hadoop, I would learn Hadoop. If I have to work with Spark, I will learn Spark. But if I don't have to, then no. But if it's like a job requirement, if they need Hadoop and Spark, these kind of things, so then it's better just to familiarize yourself with what these are. The best resource for learning PyTorch is its documentation. I'm into PyTorch because I like how simple it is. Like when you write the code, you know what you're doing. I gave many interviews and I had many rejections. And the first job I got in data science was because I did quite well on Kaggle. And yeah, it took me almost a year to get my first job. So that was, I think, the only acceptance. Others were rejections. The interview process was like the data science roles I have applied to, and or the machine learning roles I have applied to. The interview process has been quite different than what usually is there. But it seems like you are in Germany, so interview process is going to be the same for you. So it's basic stuff. So they will ask you some basic machine learning data science questions, and maybe they will give you a project to work on. So this is like the usual process for hiring data scientists, but it changes from company to company. And so like if you're applying for a much bigger firm, then probably you have to clear interviews with data structures and algorithms. I'm not sure. I think it's looking quite. It's not so bad, I would say. It could have been worse. And many companies have started recovering and either rehiring or hiring people at this time. So it's looking okay, I would say. It's not so bad. Um, okay, so nowadays there's a lot of courses available. So I would focus more on reading research papers and implementation of research papers. I focused on it in the very beginning, but maybe I focused on it for a few months, and maybe after that, after one more year, I focused on it for 1 year, but then I quit. So I would focus more on research papers and their implementations and understanding what's going on. Deep Learning by Andrew Yang is quite good. So after that, I don't have any course recommendation, but probably you can try to solve some problems using the knowledge you have gained in this deep learning. Is it necessary to know what Opencv is if I know PyTorch? To know Opencv, if I know PyTorch. I mean, Opencv is nothing. It's a huge library. It's not nothing. It's a huge library for image processing, and people have been using it for several years. And previously, it was used in C, C++, but now it's also available in Python. So that's the background of Opencv. And when you're using PyTorch, what you use Opencv for, maybe reading images, maybe doing some kind of processing on images, reading videos. So these kind of applications you should know of if you're using PyTorch. No, for internship has, like, the definition of internship has been abused quite a lot. So it's not, you are not required to know everything in deep learning and machine learning if you want to be an intern, because you are an intern and you are going to learn in the company. But since it has been abused, people have been and there's a lot of competition, so you have to do something extra than your studies to get a good internship. We can definitely expect more videos on NLP. If you have any suggestions, feel free to write me in comments of this video and I will take a look later. I'm actually starting some NLP 101. So you should have some knowledge of machine learning and deep learning before reading the book. You can choose any platform you want. This one I've already answered the questions here. What should be the approach for deep learning? Okay, no, not in this video. Not in this video. Regime, like when you work, first of all, I try to build something which is quite basic and like a benchmark, and then try to improve on the benchmark. So that's my only regime. Yeah, you should definitely document the work you have done towards different kind of Kaggle competitions. It helps a lot. It's going to be helpful to you too. Maybe after a few years, you were confused about something and you need to take a look back. I have already shared my boilerplate code, so you can take a look at ML framework or WTFML on my GitHub account. So masters is something that is considered to be like an advantage, I would say. So if you have a master's degree in computer science, you don't need a master's degree in data science. Even if you have a master's degree in computer science, that's quite good, because after masters you can always do a thesis, and you can make your thesis more oriented towards machine learning or data science. To maintain your personal reusable codes, you can use GitHub or any kind of source code management system. I use GitHub. I have source code since the last 4 or 5 years, I think, and I still look at them. Um, I mean, it depends. So, there are many industries where you will go and you will see like they are not using deep learning. So, knowing something about deep learning is good, and you can keep your focus on traditional machine learning. And these like different kinds of firms and industries which still use traditional machine learning algorithms, and they don't go into deep learning, because if something can be solved in simple ways, why try to complicate it? So you can keep your focus on traditional machine learning and try to get some job related to which where you are using traditional machine learning, but you should also keep yourself updated with deep learning just in case. Already answered these questions. Um, Not in this one. Okay, so how do I decide whether a new academic paper is worth investigating further? So I keep myself updated using different channels like Reddit and Twitter, and also you need to know what kind of people to follow on Twitter. So if you follow the right people, you will get many interesting papers, and then you can decide which new academic paper you should read or investigate further. And you can join channels like data science and machine learning channels on Reddit, and then there is hacker news. There is some information over there from time to time. For taking a data scientist role, how much domain knowledge is required? So it depends on what kind of role, like a junior role or a senior role, what kind of role you're applying for. So if you're applying for a fresher role, then I won't say that you need a lot of domain knowledge. Maybe you need some knowledge about like if you're applying for a role in a company that makes chatbots, then maybe they would require you to have some knowledge of NLP, right? So you need these kind of knowledge. But if you're applying for a senior role, then they would expect you to have some domain knowledge already. This I have already answered. Okay, I think there's no there are many questions, but no more questions related to data science and careers. There are hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of data scientists. It's not difficult to jump from Jupyter to PyCharm. Um, okay, I think I'm going over the same once again. Okay, let me see. Yeah, I was here. How to get the first bronze medal in Cackle competition? Try for gold, you will end up in bronze or silver. Focus on architectures or transfer learning stuff. So I would focus on architectures first. So focus on architectures, learn about architectures, and then try to go for transfer learning. Yeah, I'm also thinking about making something on reinforcement learning. Um, okay, I'm going to stop here, and maybe I'm going to save all the questions, and maybe I will make another few videos like this. um okay, then think for internships, try to connect with the right people, maybe on LinkedIn or Twitter, and they can give you a good internship. Okay, there's a lot of spam. Um, so career opportunity for data science jobs in tier 2, 3. So I'm assuming that you live in India. So the only thing that can distinguish you from tier 1 colleges is your portfolio, your resume. So without wasting time, I would start working on some interesting projects, and you can pick these from different channels like Kaggle or Driven Data. So these kind of channels, they have a lot of different interesting projects going on from time to time. I would put competition rank, because otherwise it's I don't know, I think whenever you are doing Kaggle or trying to put something from Kaggle on your resume, and it should always be some kind of a real competition that you have done. You can always share kernels and win accolades for that, but nothing beats competitions, and they are the most important. Uh, yeah, I think I'll have to do that because I have so many questions. So maybe next time we can filter the questions first and then we do the live session. Anyways, thank you very much everyone for joining. And I had decided the session to be of only 45 minutes, and we are a little bit over time, but that's okay. And maybe we will do the session again some other day. So just tell me whenever you want to do the session, and we can do the session. And the book is available. If you're interested, you can get the book. And feel free to ask me anything, ask me questions. Like if you have questions, don't ask me very basic or general questions. If you have some kind of questions that you think are interesting, then you can feel free to message me on Twitter, and my messages on Twitter are open. So you can also follow me and send me messages on Twitter. I try to respond to messages, but sometimes I get a lot of them, and then I have to choose the most interesting ones. Okay, then see you next time. Goodbye.